Welcome back to Finding Your Way with Lori and Tanya. I'm Lori.
I'm Tanya.
And today we're going to talk about self-care. So it's sort of this buzzword, everybody's talking about self-care. But really, have you taken a moment to really think about what that is and what it is for you? Because it is a very individual thing.
And I think a lot of times, where does your brain go first when we talk about self-care? The spa, that's right. Get my toes done, my nails done, my facial. But today we're going to talk about, yes, sometimes those things can absolutely be self-care. If they raise your vibration and bring you up a notch, if they increase your happiness, sure, they can be, they're all a part of it. But we're going to talk about some things that are not necessarily just that, and how you recognize when you need self-care, and how do you take some time to give yourself the self-care.
Yeah, so I think part of recognizing is, this is my opinion, but I believe there are a lot of us walking on this earth today that don't realize that normal should be feeling like your best self. And so we want you all to get there, to get to where every day you're excited about waking up and tackling the day and just enjoying the day. And so that really should be your default setting. Yep. But we do know that, because we've lived it, we do know that that's not where everybody is. Yep. And so I think self-care is one of those first steps you can take. Like, really start thinking about what does make you feel high vibe. What do you enjoy? What do you feel good when you do? And that way, when you're having times when you don't feel that way, that's the default you try to go back to. So maybe you do some of those things that felt really good to get you from sort of a lower vibration up to that higher vibration.
And it can be simple stuff. It can be baking. Some people love to bake. So and it's feeding other people. It's cooking for someone. It's walking in nature. There are so many things. It's drawing. It's painting. There are so many things you can do to get yourself there. I think the first thing we have to do is recognize from the beginning that we need self-care. We go through, and just like Lori said, what's your default? If your default is panic, if it's frustration every day, if it's just muddling through your day, then we need to reset your default,
right,
and figure out, do something. And once you do something that makes you feel good, go, okay, this should be my default. And then let's figure out slowly how to get you there.
Yeah, and so it really is body, mind, and spirit all connected. And you can have one or the other or all that aren't at your best level. And so it is recognizing those things. I know I was telling Tanya earlier today that a couple of weeks ago, my normal is to walk at work, and as I was walking, I told the other ladies, I said, oh my goodness, I feel like somebody's got a chain wrapped around me and pulling me backwards, like I'm walking through mud. It's just so much more difficult today. And that should have been a red flag for me to go, wait a minute, what's going on? Maybe you need a little bit of self-care. Maybe you need to slow down. Maybe you need to prevent the cold that eventually happened, because I didn't listen to those signs and warning signs.
That's right. And so for me, a lot of times it's the emotional piece, or the mental piece, where I go a week or two and realize, gosh, I haven't felt like myself this week, but I've been going through the motions. Why haven't I felt like myself? I'm journaling, I'm doing my meditation, I'm doing my exercise, I'm doing all the things I know that makes me feel better. But it takes me a couple of weeks to realize that, wow, I just spent a couple of weeks at not my best self. So then I have to back up and look at, okay, how do I start gaining that back? I'm already doing the daily rituals, and sometimes those become too much of a habit, and I'm not putting intention behind them. I'm doing them to be able to check off the box, and we all are guilty of that, I'm sure. And so I'm checking off the box because it's part of what I'm supposed to do to make myself feel good, and realize that I got to add something to it. And sometimes that's going for a walk in nature. Sometimes it's getting a commitment that I've off my plate that I should not have committed to. So it's small things that you can do to start raising that vibration.
Yeah, so the commitment thing, I mean, that's a big one, right? We overcommit sometimes. And so, the phrase that one of our mentors taught us was, sometimes you have to say no. And sometimes that's difficult to do because we're people pleasers sometimes, and we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or disappoint anybody. But the phrase that we always go back to, which I think was a profound thing, is it's not against you, it's for me. And so if you come from that perspective, it is easier to honor yourself when you've overcommitted and maybe need to back out of something.
And give people credit. People want the best for you. If you volunteered to do something, if you've said you're going to do it, and all of a sudden you realize, okay, I'm overcommitted, this is not good for me, approach them and be honest. I've overcommitted. I've agreed to this before I realize what else is on my plate. And just be honest and upfront and let them know. And you can even say, if this has nothing to do with you, it's not against you, it's for me. I need this for my well-being. I cannot do this activity because it's not in my best interest. People, I think some people will be surprised. Some people may learn from you and look at the next person they've overcommitted to and do the same thing you did. And I think that you will be surprised at how people honor that truth and that authenticity. You will be surprised that people go, you know what? Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, that by doing this, by maybe it's, going against a commitment, maybe it's taking the day off because you feel run down, maybe it's spending time with people that uplift you, whatever those things are. I think as we do that, we're doing it for our own self-care, but people are watching. And I just had someone tell me recently, I had to take some time off of work because I was not feeling well, and my body needed some rest and recovery. And the person told me, they said, I am so much learning from you of how to do that, how to listen to my body and do what my body needs. That wasn't my intention. I just know myself, know my body well enough to know that I needed that. But think about the trickle effect that's having now, where maybe that person will think about when they're not feeling their best, maybe they shouldn't push through. Maybe they should take a step back.
And I think it's the body as well as the mind and the soul and the spirit. So there are things called mental health days. We all need them. I remember 10 years ago, if somebody had told me, I'm taking the day off for mental health day, I looked at them like they were crazy. And I would have said, well, that's a work ethic issue. Yeah. Right? And it's not. And we have realized that by doing the work and really understanding that this is all connected. And if you need a day, you need a day. And you shouldn't feel guilty about taking the day, especially us moms. 3 children deep, and sometimes I just need to leave them and walk away and have an hour or a day or a weekend that nobody's calling my name and that can be about me. That doesn't make me selfish.
No.
That makes me filling up my cup so that I can fill theirs up in return.
Yeah, so huge. I mean, that's a big thing, because I think a lot of times we do things out of obligation, and responsibility is real. We're not trying to say that you don't have responsibility, but sometimes we do it from a place of sacrifice. We do for others, even though we need to do something for ourselves first, and we don't do it because we push through and we're being of service, but you're really not.
Begrudgingly being of service sometimes.
And how are you fully serving others if you're serving from your depleted self versus your best self?
They can feel it, the energy that you give towards something. If it's of sacrifice, if it doesn't feel good, even what you're giving may not feel so good to accept by somebody else. So when you are in that high vibration place that can only be given to yourself by giving it to yourself, by creating it for yourself, when you're vibrating in that place and you're given from that place of love and from that full place, people feel it. Yeah. And it makes whatever it is you're giving, whether it's your time, whether it's your money, whether it's your love, whatever it is, it feels really good to accept it when you don't feel like somebody has sacrificed for you.
Yeah, so self-care will be anything that you intuitively know it is. And it may change. I mean, sometimes I need time alone. Sometimes I need to be with people. Sometimes I need the spa day. You know, it does change based on your circumstances at the time. And so it really is important to just be self-aware, to know what you need in that moment. And sometimes you just have a moment, sometimes it's just taking a step, taking a little break, going outside, getting a breath of fresh air, and maybe that's all you can do in the moment, but it is a form of self-care.
Yeah, so even those little 3 minutes walking away for something and deep breathing for 3 minutes, that's still self-care. Because it may be all you can get for yourself in that meeting or in that day when everything's scheduled to the hilt. But it's recognizing I need it and then taking the 1 to 3 to 5 minutes and giving yourself it.
That's right. So think about what you need in every moment.
There's no right or wrong.
There's no right or wrong. It's only you can determine what you need to take better care of yourself to get to where you're living that life that is your best self on a regular basis.
Right. So, okay, we hope this was helpful. If you guys enjoyed this, please like us, subscribe to us, share us with your friends. We also have a Facebook group called the Positive Vibe Tribe. We've got a couple of thousand members there. We love it group. There's always a good nugget for everybody there as well. So we hope that you enjoyed it. We hope that we added something to maybe your daily routine and hopefully to your self-care.
Yeah.
All right, y'all have a good day.